all you haters to scream. I'm never free weeds. I work the hard of the streets. Who harder than me? I'm wearing the Won't stop. Go hate on me now. I never get enough when he come to get ready. Sitting ain't ready for my Ferraris to play. We keep coming fast. My honey come high and I was made of all glass. I can never be erased. What's going on? Every morning just to count white faces. Neo in the Matrix. Glorious is Morpheus. And pride all warriors. I mean it's a scorpion. All right. Y'all hear that? Somebody send me a text message, please. Okay. We're going to get started. We're going to get started in about 5 minutes, y'all. Actually, about 3 minutes. We're going to get started. All I do is win, no matter what. Everybody goes up. Showtime. And they say that. I got a billion reasons you should know my whole name. You got the most paper listed New York Times. But not your own women, New York Run. Everybody getting money, but I got the first pick. All right, we're going to start in about 3-4 minutes, y'all. Listen. My number is 254-423-7504. Somebody text me and let me know if you can hear me or if you can hear this music. Mic check. Everybody goes up. Showtime. And they stay there. Can y'all hear me? Can you hear me? If you can hear me, if you could, please shoot me a text message or shoot me a message on Facebook, something. Let me know if you can hear me. I just want to make sure everybody can hear me. You might see a screaming, yelling, phone until you killing me. Beating like a prize fight. Mommy, I'm a rude boy. You just hit the Powerball. Every day a new toy. Stick up a little. Somebody send me a message. You can text me at 254-423-7504. I just want to make sure that you can hear me before I start the training. Happy New Year to you all. Goes up. Somebody shoot me a text message. Let me know if you can hear me, please. All right, thank you. Thank you. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and set this music off so we can go ahead and get started, because today is the first day of Goal Director Training for 2016, and I'm just so excited
that I got chosen, that I got the honor, that I got the privilege to share this information with you. So let me cut my music off. All right. So anyway, today is the first training of the year. And my name is Charles, the Coach Wilson. I'm coming to you live from Fort Hood, Texas. And I'll be your presenter during the training today. And just to share a little bit of information with you, got started in this business just a short time ago. My background is I am a 25-year veteran in the U.S. Army. And so when this opportunity was brought to me by my sponsor, Mr. Rashid Booth out of Houston, Texas, I was just at a place in my life where I was really reflecting on my health. And I had recently just lost my Uncle Curtis. And as I just, sat and reflected on what happened to my uncle and how he passed and his health and some of my other uncles that had passed, and I started to look at myself and I was like, man, I got to change. And so when Mr. Booth brought me this opportunity, I really needed a total life change. Wasn't working, needed to supplement my income, and I've been able to do exactly that, supplement my income, improve my health. And so I'm just so excited to be here with you doing this training as a regional director with Total Life Changes. And so I just got a little bit of information that I want to share with you today, because at the end of the day, you got to have faith and you got to go to work. And so I want to make sure that you got time to exercise your faith in your work today. Exercise your faith in your work today. I was listening to something the other day, and I think it was Smokey Norfolk, as a matter of fact. And he was talking about how, you can't just have faith, you got to go to work. And you can't just go to work, but you got to have faith. And so, and basically what that means is, if you really have faith, then you will go to work, but you got to believe. And as I spoke with one of my team members, I was telling them, that, dogs have a sense, they can sense if you're afraid of them. And no matter how you try to fake it, if you're afraid, they're going to know it. And people have a sense. And if, you don't believe what you're saying, if you don't believe what you're doing, they're going to know it. It's going to come out in how you talk. It's going to come out in whether or not you're passionate about what you're saying, and so you got to believe. And so, and you got to work your belief. And so with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and get started with my training. The first thing that I'm going to tell y'all about, I hope that you got your pens and paper handy, but the first thing that I want to bring to your attention as you embark on your goal to go director is you got to have the mindset and the attitude. And so, and this training is not just for the beginner. I'm going to cover some things in this training. I'm going to cover mindset and attitude. I'm going to cover back office basics. I'm going to cover getting started. I'm going to cover a quick reference guide that we've created. I'm going to cover the 3 steps to hitting director. And then last but not least, I'm going to cover some things that you should keep in mind. And so when you embark on this journey, whether you're a brand new beginner, whether you're already director and you're looking to create directors, or whether you're just the experienced person just continuing to train. And I got to tell you, folks, that's what you got to do. All of the greats, they continue to train no matter what. You will always find, the top money earners in the front with their pen and their paper. They've heard it 1,000 times before, but they're listening to it again. That's called a clue. So it don't matter how many times you've heard it, you got to hear it again. And, I know that's what I do. I go back and I play some of the previous calls. you know, and I listen to different things that's being said, because, you know, it's not about what's heard, but it's about what's caught. And I got to give that one up to my coach, my mentor, none other than the great Stormy Wellington. You know, she says it's not what's heard, but what's caught. And so sometimes we hear things, but we don't catch it. And so, you know, it's just kind of like a movie. You know, you might see a movie, you know, then you watch it again and you see something that you didn't see the first time. And so then the second time, then you caught it. And so repetition is the mother of all learning. And so just getting back to your mindset and your attitude. And so today, before you know, as I was getting prepared to do this training, you know, I just looked up the definitions of. So I'm going to share with you the definition of mindset. And your mindset is it's an established set of attitudes held by you. You know, that's your mindset. It's an established set of attitudes held by you. And so when I saw that, I said, okay, let me break that down a little bit further. And so I went to the word attitudes. And attitudes is a settled way of thinking or feeling about someone or something, typically reflected in your behavior. And so that goes back to your belief. See, if your attitude about hitting director is not right, then you won't hit it. You know, Muhammad Ali, a lot of times he would beat fighters without throwing a punch. And it was because of his attitude. You know, we do a wake up and win call, and there's, you know, some things that we say at the end of every call. You know, I'm a champion. Everything I touch turns to gold. It's my turn. It's my season. I'm humble. I'm happy. I'm healthy. I'm strong. I'm a champion. And see, if you don't have that attitude, if you don't have the attitude that you can do it, if you don't have the attitude that you will do it, then you're dead in the water. You know, Henry Ford said, if you think you can or you think you can't, either way, guess what? You are right. See, if you think you can't do it, then you can't do it. And so you have to have the mindset and the attitude that you can do it. And this doesn't just pertain to going director. This pertains to going executive director. This pertains to going to regional director. This pertains to going to national director. This pertains to going global, ambassador, etc. If you think you can or you think you can't, either way, you're right. You know, and so you got to write your vision and you got to make it plain. And so with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to share my screen. But before I do, let me just talk to you about the back office basics. And so in the beginning, somebody that's brand new, doesn't really know anything about network marketing, you know, this is definitely for you. But you have to understand that there's a preferred placement lever in your back office. And I'm going to share my screen. I have somebody's back office open that I'm going to share with you just so that you can see what I'm talking about. But you have to have your preferred placement set, and then you have to monitor your volume, and you have to have the proper auto ship. And so here with our team, you know, we teach everybody to just set it and forget it. If you're looking to make regional director and above, you need 120 auto ship. And so here's the thing, and my sponsor says this all the time. You know, if you order, you know, 2 or 3 times in a month, chances are you're already ordering 120 anyway. You know, if you feel like that you're going to use 4 packs of tea for the month yourself, and you're going to sell at least 8 packs of tea, there's your 120 in volume. And guess what? You made your money back. And so you got to have the proper auto ship. And so let me share my back office, and then we'll look at some things, and then we'll come back. All right, now as I get started, I'm going to need somebody to shoot me a text message and let me know that you can see my the screen that I open up. Do you see back office basics? Can somebody shoot me a text message and let me know if you can see this slide that says the back office basics? Just shoot me a text message. Somebody shoot me a text message, 254-423-7504. Just shoot me a text message and let me know that you can see. You know, I want to make sure that y'all can see. Okay, thank you. I know you can see the PowerPoint now. So let me go over here to all right. So to get to your preferred placement, what you want to do is you want to sign into your back office, and then you want to hit on my profile. And so I'm going to let this open up. But when you hit on my profile, another screen is going to open up, and you're going to see edit my profile, then you're going to see preferred placement. So the person who I'm using, this is what you will see if you haven't touched it. And so you'll want to go right here and click on this drop down menu, and you'll see it says left leg, right leg. So this is what I recommend. If you came in on the left side, then the first side that I would select would be the left. And then once you select the side, then you hit save changes. Now, what this is going to do, okay. Hold on a second. So what that's going to do is that's going to select and save your preferred placement. Now, once you sign up to one person on the left side, then you're going to need to go back to preferred placement and switch it to the right side and save it so that you can sign up your other person. And so then once you've done that, then you're what's called binary qualified. And I'll go back to that one again in a moment. So now here's the next thing that I want to tell you about is your volume. So when you click on volume over here on the left, you'll notice that you have RV, and you have LV, and then you have total PV. And so you want to make sure that you're watching your volume for the week. So this person doesn't have any volume for the week. All right, you want to watch your volume for the week. Now, when you do this, you have your left volume and your right volume. You see this week, this person had 70 points in volume. And so what that lets you know is that these are the amount of volume points that this person has on the left side. And then this would be the amount of volume that they have on the right side. And so these are just tabs that you want to click on to make sure that you are watching these basic things in your back office. The other tab you're going to click on is auto ship. You know, I'm not going to click on that one, but you'll need to click on auto ship. And this is where you can set and adjust your auto ship. So let me go back. Okay, so you got your volume and you got your auto ship. And so these are the basic places that you need to understand in your back office. And so Let me move right along. Okay, getting started. So when you get started, you want to know your why. You gotta have why you're doing this, and you want to have this clear. So also when you're running for director, then you also need to know um, the people that enroll and partner up with you. You need to know why they're doing this and what do they want, because sometimes you'll have people that sign up as business partners and really they're just a customer. And so if the person is just a customer, then you'll know that you need to work with somebody else. And so this is one of the most important questions that you can ask your new people is, why are they doing this and what do they want? If they don't have any desire to get promoted, they just want to sell the products, or they just want to be a customer that gets discounts, then you'll know that, okay, I need to leave this person alone, just check on them periodically, and then I need to go find somebody else that wants to run, that wants this thing just like I do. And so another question that is good to ask your new people is, are you easily influenced by others? And so when you're helping somebody to get started, when you ask them this question, big chances are they're going to say no. Everybody likes to think, no, I'm not easily influenced by others. But guess what? A lot of times people quit in this business because they're easily influenced by others. And so somebody tells them, oh, you're doing that, that's stupid. And they'll quit. But if you ask them this question up front, then you can kind of inoculate them for things that's going to happen to them, such as people coming to them, discouraging them, and trying to steal their dreams. And so the next thing that you want to do is you want to make sure that you set a launch date. You don't want to build your business if you're trying to hit ranks and you're trying to make a lot of money in this company. You want to launch your business. The professionals launch their business. They don't build a business, they launch a business. And so if you imagine a launch pad, that's where the energy bubbles up and it shoots off very powerfully. It launches. And so you want to set a date. This is kind of like your grand opening, and this is where you're going to invite a lot of people, and you're going to present your business to them, and you're going to try to do it with a lot of people at one time so that you can take off quicker. Now, a launch can be done live, at your house, or a launch can be done over the phone. And a lot of people, I know throughout our team, a lot of people launch over the phone where they get 20, 30 people together on the phone. They have their upline come in, and their upline will actually do a launch call for them. And so you need to establish your launch date. Now, if you've been in for a while, and you haven't really kicked your business off, that's okay. You can start a launch right now. You can set a launch date right now and get in touch with your sponsor so that they can coordinate and be there to assist you. But I got to tell you, you want to get at least 15 plus people on the call in order to do a launch. Now, the next thing that you'll want to do is you want to make sure that you're plugged in. And this is just the preliminary stuff. Make sure that you're plugged in. This doesn't take a lot of time. You want to make sure that you're plugged in. We have a group on Facebook called the Official Skin Tea Group. You want to make sure that you're in that group. You want to make sure we have TLC Team USA. You want to get in that group. You want to make sure that you're plugged into the text message system that we have that sends out reminders and information to keep you on track of what's going on with the team and within the company. So you want to make sure that you're plugged into the text message system that we have. And you can do this by just sending a text message 313131 to as a number and then in the body of the text message, then you're just going to put 1,000 families. And so that's how you want to make sure that you're plugged in. And then last but not least, you want to make sure that you're plugged in to the leadership. And so you want to make sure that you know not only who your sponsor is, but who your sponsor's sponsor is and who their sponsor is. And we call this a lifeline. And so you want to get plugged into these people so that if you can't reach your sponsor, you have somebody else that you can reach. On the flip side, if you're the director and you're introducing your people, you want to make sure that they know other people in the leadership, because what this does is if you edify your leadership properly, then your leadership will be able to do some things that you can't necessarily do. And so this all starts with, making sure that when you get somebody started, that they're plugged into the leadership as well. And so the next thing that I have for you is the quick reference guide. And so I just want to go over this quick reference guide. This is key because what this does is you want to take this information and you want to save these numbers in your phone. You want to put the days and the times on your calendar in your smartphone with a reminder. And then what happens is you'll get an alert, you'll get a reminder when something is taking place to remind you to make sure that you are plugging in, you're getting on these calls. So we have a wake up and win call. This is one of the best ways to make sure that your people don't fall off. Plug them into the wake up and win. It's Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. And guess what? There's a replay number. So if somebody is clocking in to work at 9, but they're driving into work at 8, they can dial in on the replay and listen to the previous day's call as they're going into work. We have a live opportunity call Monday through Sunday, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And so you want to make sure that you're plugging into the live opportunity call. On these live opportunity calls, if you've listened to them before, you want to make sure that you have your pen and your paper there. Even if you don't have a guest, you want to plug in so that you can write down the stories that are shared, so that you can write down the ways that they're presenting this information, so that when it's your time to present, when it's your time to do a call, when it's your time to speak with a potential prospect or potential customer, you'll know what to say. And then sometimes people can't make it to the 10 o'clock call. And so we have a pre-recorded on-demand call that is available 24/7. No PIN number necessary. Then also, and if you're plugged into our the official Skin Tea group, I'll actually put this document up in there. So I know that the letters are probably small and you can't really see them and the numbers and whatnot, but I'll put this document up in the official Skin Tea group, and you'll be able to download it and see it there. But we have the Saturday morning Goal Director training, which you're a part of right now. We have our Monday team training call, and there's a replay for that. We also have a getting started training call. Now, what's incredible about this is my leader, my coach, Coach Stormy Wellington, has actually done this call. And so imagine getting trained by the Michael Jordan of our company. This lady was voted the #1 female network marketer in the world. Let me say that again, the #1 female network marketer in the world. And she is doing this getting started training call. She's also the highest paid African-American female. And so just realize that when you dial into this this training call, you're going to get trained by the best of the best. And so you definitely want to make sure that your new people dial into the training call. And this is all part of the system. You know, you follow the system. Then there's some website resources for you. You know, we got training TLC reps. We got ISOT info /now-what. This is a product information site. We got the Total Success Store where you can get digital products and tools and social media banners and flip charts and much, much more. That's done by none other than Miss Tanya Rockamore, and she does a phenomenal job. So when you see these incredible banners, if you saw my banner for the training, all of that is on that site, and you can order yours too. And so you just have to plug in. And so let me move right to the 3 steps to hitting director. So let me go back to volume here. Okay, so there's 3 steps to hitting director. When you're trying to hit director, the first thing that you got to do is you got to make sure that your personal volume is in order. Now, what I teach my team is to count these zeros. Each one of these zeros represents a week. Now, the first step is you have to have 80 personal volume points within a 4-week time period. So 1 week, 2 week, 3 week, 4. That's called qualifying personal volume. You never want to let your you never want to see more than 3 of these zeros in a row. Once you see 1, 2, 3 sets of zeros, you absolutely know this week right here, you got to place an order. If you do not place an order, you will no longer be qualified. The order must be for 40 volume points or more, or you can't get a check. It has to be for 80 volume points or more, or you can't get a director level check. And so you want to make sure that you're counting these zeros. Don't let it go past the 4th week. If you're in the 4th week right now, you need to do a personal purchase. Now, a personal purchase is not something that you're going to do in somebody else's back office. This is a purchase that you need to do in your back office, and it needs to be for a minimum of no less than 80 volume points. Now, the next thing that you have to do is you have to get binary qualified. And so right here, you'll see organization. And so I'm going to click on organization, and we're going to go to graphical downline. So when we go to graphical downline, you'll see person on the right, person on the left. Now, the person on the right and the person on the left has to be personally sponsored by you. If they're not personally sponsored by you, which you would see some characters right here, you also have this legend right here. This right here tells you if you're active. This right here, you'll notice, tells you if you have auto ship, if the person is on auto ship. This symbol right here lets you know if the person was personally sponsored. This right here lets you know it's a new enrollment. And then, of course, this lets you know if they cancel. So you need to make sure that you're binary qualified. And so I had the opportunity to sit down one time with the VP of sales for our company. That's none other than Mr. Kenny Lloyd. And the question was posed to him by another gentleman. What is the very first thing that you want to make sure that your new rep does? And so the answer that he gave was to get them binary qualified. And so to break that down, the biggest money within our company is based on check match. Guess what? If a person is not binary qualified, you can't get a check match on them. Also, if a person is not binary qualified, then their volume will flush. Our volume, the way that the volume works, when you're binary qualified, it's like rollover minutes. So if this person was binary qualified, all of these points would be stacking on one side. And so in order to make director, you need a minimum of 1,000 on the left in volume points. These represent volume points. And you need 1,000 on the right. And so if this person was binary qualified, then these points would be rolling over. And so they would have, over 200 some odd points on the right. So then they would only need 1,000 on the left, and they would need about 750 on the right, because they would have these rollover points that would add into their total for the week. And so you got to make sure that you're binary qualified. Then what I was showing you is your group volume. You want to make sure that you have your group volume. And so the group volume is where you have that 1,000 points on the left and 1,000 points on the right. And then you also have to have your personal volume of 80 volume points or more. Now, what we teach is just go ahead and set it for 120, because guess what? You're probably going to do that anyway. And then also this sets you up to hit every promotion level in the company if you have 120 in personal volume. You can hit any rank in the company with 120 in personal volume. So why not just set it and forget it? And so that is the 3 steps to hit director. So let me move. These are things that you're going to keep in mind. I'm going to switch back and go back to my camera. All right. So there's some things that you got to keep in mind when you're doing this. And so the first thing is humility. You got to be humble. You got to forget what you learned somewhere else. If you don't know anything or you've done something else that you feel like is similar, you got to humble yourself and learn from the people that's with this company that's already done it. Let those people teach you, because if they've done it, then they can show you how to do it too. So you got to be humble. And then another thing that you need to do is you need to be able to edify somebody else. When you edify somebody else, this doesn't just boost them up. It sets you up so that the person that you edify can come back and help you. And based on the picture that you've painted of this person that you've edified, then they'll be able to have a stronger effect when you have them talk to your potential prospect. Also, edification also lets people know what type of people that you're working with. See, people want to work with people that are going somewhere. People want to work with people that are doing something. And if you're attached to somebody that, if you're attached to somebody like a Stormy Wellington, if you're attached to somebody like a Rashid Booth, if you're attached to somebody like a Daryl Drake, if you're attached to somebody like a Shanita Foster, if you're attached to somebody, to one of the leaders, one of the movers and shakers, then this will set you up for success. And so you got to know how to edify. That's one of the things that you need to keep in mind, is you always want to edify the leadership. Always edify the leadership. And then you got to have a work ethic. You know, our leader, Coach Stormy, the hardest working woman I know, she's got an incredible work ethic. And so if you can't just, you know, believe that this is going to happen and not do any work. You got to work. You got to show up to work every day. You know, it's just like, you know, if you got a job and you don't show up, you know, how you going to get paid? Well, the same thing that the same thing is at play when you're working your TLC business is you got to have a work ethic. You can't just show up to work, but you got to get something done. And so you got to have a strong work ethic. And if you're humble and you learn from the ones that have preceded you, if you know how to, if you edify your leadership and you work hard, then you'll notice that your influence will start to go up. This is how you gain influence. You know, you got to be willing to learn, you got to edify, and you got to work hard. And that's going to increase your influence that you'll have with other people. So the next thing that you need to remember as you're running for director is you got to be able to promote events. You know, this business is built from event to event. And so let me give you an example of what an event is. An event is this live training right here. An event is this special training that's going on right now in Houston, Texas. An event is the weekly meeting that's going on in Atlanta. An event is the live calls that we have every night at 10 o'clock Eastern time. All of those are events. An event is our corporate conference that we're having in New Orleans starting on January the 29th. You want to promote events. And here's the thing. The first thing is you got to get to the event. You want to get guests to the events. And you definitely want to get your team to events. So you don't want to show up to events by yourself. You know, my mentor, my coach Stormy Wellington, she gave us a book not too long ago called Never Eat Alone. You want to make sure that you don't go to events by yourself. All you got to do is get them there. Get the people to the event. The event is going to do the work for you. I had one of my team members in the Maryland area working really hard trying to get to try to get their team to move. Guess what? All this person did was get their team to an event. And guess what? The event fired up the team. And now the team is doing work. The team is producing. And this is all because this individual got the team to the event. And so the event was able to do what this person could not do. And so if you're having any kinds of problems with productivity, whatnot, you got to get your team and your guests to events. They're incredibly important. And so the next thing is you know, I mentioned to you that you can either do a launch call on the phone or you could do a launch from your house. And one of the ways that we do launches from the house is what's called wow parties. Now, a wow party doesn't necessarily have to be that big, but a wow party is where you get about 5 people together and you share with them some of our products that provide instant gratification. Some of our products like the NRG. The NRG provides immediate gratification. Now, hold on 1 second. Let me just go grab something so I can show it to you. This is out of my personal stash. There's actually a new and extremely exciting bottle, new packaging that's been released for the NRG. But this product right here, let me just tell you a quick story. I told you that I spent 25 years in the military. And back in 2008, I was diagnosed with a condition called sleep apnea. And to break that down for you, just in case you don't know what that means, is I go to sleep, but I don't get any rest. There's two types of sleep. There's deep sleep, there's light sleep. When I sleep light, which means I don't get any rest. As a matter of fact, the test that they ran on me says that I wake up 55 times an hour because I stopped breathing that much in my sleep. And so what happened to me was during the day, I would start to get extremely tired during the day, like about 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, extremely tired, because I hadn't got any sleep the previous night. And so I can remember clearly, I was up in my den and I had a paper that I had to do. And I hadn't started on it. It was due that day. And I was so tired, I couldn't think straight. Now, I had this, but I was skeptical about it because I drink coffee because I like the taste. I had tried all different types of energy drinks. Some of them taste good, some of them taste bad. Most of them are bad for you, but none of them really gave me any energy. So I didn't believe. Let me tell you what, I took this, and within about 30 to 45 minutes, I just got up. I went from laying down to I got up. My focus was clear. My thinking was straight. I had the energy to do the paper. And so, incredible product. But, I say all of that to say, that you got to share stories. You share stories. And I remember I was listening to one of these Gold Director calls from Coach Stormy, and she talked about the 3 types of stories that you need to learn. You need to learn your upline story. You need to learn the company story, and you need to have a testimonial. And so I just gave you a personal testimony, my personal story of utilizing a product. But those are the 3 types of stories that you need to know. Facts tell, but the stories is what makes people buy. It's the stories. So you want to make sure that you know the stories. So when you do these events, when you do a launch call, before you get finished with that launch call, or when you're talking to people from the launch call, or if you did a wow party at your house, one of the most important things you can do is to book another date. You want to book another meeting. You want to book another wow party. You want to book another launch call from the one that you just had. You always want to be booking a meeting from a meeting. And so then there's follow-up. The fortune is in the follow-up. I want to share another story. I got to mention Miss Candace Burke Davis. I actually mentioned this story the last time I did this training, but it's so key. So, but basically, when I first got started, I was talking to a young lady in Ohio, and she was very excited about joining the company. But then she just kind of disappeared out of nowhere. And so when she disappeared, I just kind of said, well, maybe she's not interested anymore. I stopped following up with this young lady. And hold on a second. So I stopped following up with this young lady. A couple of months later, I was actually in Ohio doing an event. And that same lady was there. Now, I didn't really know this lady personally, but she remembered my picture. She's like, man, I know you from somewhere. And I was like, oh, yeah. And so we connected. We went to connect on Facebook, and we realized that we were already connected. And what happened was she looked at her messages, and she's like, oh, wow, you were the one that I was going to sign up with. And I was like, what? I'm like, well, why didn't you sign up with me? And she was like, well, when I was talking to you, I had like 3 deaths in my family back to back to back. And I just kind of totally shut down. And I had forgot all about it. And then one day I was on Instagram and I saw Candace Burke Davis advertisement and I contacted her and I ended up signing right up. And so I share that story with you to let you know that the fortune is in the follow-up. You know, just because somebody says no right now, just because it appears that somebody's not interested right now, you still got to follow up with them. Follow up with them in 30 days. Follow up with them in 60 days. Keep following up with them because things change for people. And they might become interested down the road, you know, or, you know, you never know what's going on in people's lives, just like I did. And so you got to follow up. And then leverage, you know, this earlier in December, I had the privilege to go to our first annual Christmas gala. And I had another opportunity to sit down with the VP of sales. And he talked to me about vision. And so leaders are attracted to vision. And so when you're talking to people, you got to paint the vision. You got to talk to them about what you're going to do, what you're working towards. This is the vision. And leaders are visionaries. And they're going to become attracted to the vision. And so you want to share that vision with them. And that vision will lead to leverage. It'll lead to fear of loss. Just incredible. So you want to definitely leverage the vision. Timelines. So just going back to director, we get promoted and we get paid by the week. And so you want to make sure that, you know, when you're going for a particular rank, you have to do it within a 7-day period. And depending on when you start, you might have less time than that because basically you have from Friday to Thursday. That is the time period that you have to get promoted, and that's also the time period for pay. So whatever you did from Friday to Thursday. If you got started on Wednesday, you know, whatever you did from Wednesday to Thursday, that's what you're going to get promoted on, and that's what you're going to get paid on. So keep this in mind when you're dealing with your team members. Now, let me just talk to you about volume flushing. And so in order, and I kind of mentioned this earlier, but in order to keep your volume from flushing and to make sure that your volume constantly rolls over, you want to make sure that, one, you're qualified. You got to make sure that you're qualified. That if you're going for director, you got to make sure that you have at least 80 personal volume points, like I showed you earlier in the personal volume area. 80 personal volume points within a 4-week time period. And I showed you how to count the zeros. Every set of zeros represents 1 week. You don't want to go more than 4 weeks. If you get to 4, if you see 4 sets of zeros in a row, that means you missed it. You know, and you want to end up flushing out your volume, and you're going to miss it. Also, it's going to mean that until you get back active, you're not qualified to receive a paycheck. So very, very important. Now, also to make sure that you don't flush, you have to be binary qualified. So not only do you have to be qualified with personal volume, but somebody that you personally sponsored on the left, somebody that you personally sponsored on the right must also be qualified. They could have, 40 or 80 volume points, but they have to have that active so that you don't flush, because you got to be binary qualified. And then the last thing is duplication. Duplication. And so you want to follow the system, and then you want to teach your people how to follow the system. And some people will do it, some people won't. You're looking for the ones that will. And you got to move as fast as you can to get to those ones that will. Those are the ones that you want to work with. Those are the ones that will help your business to grow. And so the last thing I'm going to tell you about is 3 types of ways that you can get volume. Now, you can get volume from if your team member sells a product, then they're going to get 25% of the volume for that item. So for example, if they sell a 4-pack of tea, it's 40 points. The volume that they would get is 10 points. Those 10 points will roll all the way up through the leadership. Now that's how you get 10% of the volume, or 25% of the volume, 25% of the volume. Now, the way that you get 50% of the volume is you buy packages. You teach your team to buy packages. When your team buys packages, then they're going to get 50% of the volume. So if the volume is 300, they're going to get 150 in volume. That's what's going to roll up, is that 150. The volume is 500, and they're going to get 250. The 250 in volume is going to roll up through the organization. And so you want to make sure that, if they want to get 50%, this is the way that you do it. And then also, if you want to get 100% of the volume, let's say that you're about to have an event, you're about to do a vendor's booth, and you need to buy a lot of product. Well, the way that you can maximize the volume so that you can get promoted and so that you have more points flowing through your organization is you want to try to go to the last person on the weaker side, the side with the least amount of volume. You want to try to go to the last person and see if they'll give you permission to go in their back office. You place the order in their back office. When you do this, what happens is, you place the order, have it shipped to you, so you don't have to worry about that. It won't save your credit card information, but the products will be shipped to you. But because the order was placed in the back office, then you will get 100% of the volume points. So like, let's say that you bought 10 4-packs of tea. That's 40 points a pack. That's 400 volume points. If you bought them in the last person in your team's organization, then that person will get personal volume points from that order, and then everybody above them will get that 400 volume points. And so those are the 3 ways that you can get volume when you're trying to set yourself up to go director. So this concludes my training. Again, my name is Charles, the Coach Wilson. I'm your regional director from out of Fort Hood, Texas. I just want to say to everybody, Happy New Year. May this be your best year ever. And I thank you for taking the time to listen and watch me on this Go Director training. And it is my sincere desire that I have provided you something of value. So with that being said, I will talk with y'all later. Bye for now.